Can anybody hear me out there?
Saad, this is Tammy. I can hear you.
Okay. Can you see me?
I cannot see you.
I cannot see you either.
That's because I turned my camera off.
Can you turn it on just for a second? It's telling me that my camera's not working, so I'm wondering
My
if
camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I did it.
Yeah, I see Rob.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. And I see me. I'm going to turn mine back off again.
Okay. But you can't see me, right?
No, we cannot see you, but we
Probably
can hear you.
Just as well. I was just thinking that it's been 3 years since I've seen anybody. I'm 3 years older. Probably have a longer beard now.
Yeah. You know, it was, you know what? Actually, Saad, I believe our last hearing, was it February of 2019? I think it was. I think we're headed to 4 years in February that we haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Long time. Yep.
But the soups are doing in person, right?
You know what? I don't know.
I think they did one that was
So
hybrid
yes.
like the city does, you know?
Supervisors are doing their meetings in person now.
But the redesign of the conference facility only has 5 chairs and 5 spots on the dais.
Get out of here. They didn't fix that?
They did not.
That's a total lack of respect. We should do a sit-in.
That's exactly the way it was before. So
Yeah.
that's a no change.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Jess. I just joined, and sorry, Chair Antivirus, but actually the dais is actually smaller than it used to be, quite a bit smaller. It used to accommodate it used to have kind of a space for each of the 5 supervisors, and a space for the county manager, and a space for an attorney's office representative. And I think maybe that. Or 2. Somehow we would jam, 7 of you guys on there, and that has been reduced. It was brought up, choices had to be made that based on technology, based on making this thing work the way they needed it to work for the board. That it was not a complete oversight. It was acknowledged that this is not going to work for P&Z Commission. So I like Commissioner Best's recommendation of a sit-in, but there are fewer seats in there also, so that will get tougher. And Commissioner Best, I sincerely apologize. I saw you were just trying to call me a few minutes ago. Yeah. I apologize. I couldn't pick that up. I had another burning issue. Even though we're not the fire department, we're just the planning department.
You want to stay on a few minutes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's not a big deal, but.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jess, we've got 2 minutes before the study session starts.
We do.
So what is their plan then for the, who made the decision to, what would you say, decrease the dais?
Yeah, that was ultimately facilities is responsible. The facilities department is responsible for overseeing upgrades to the facilities, but I'm sure they had a contracted architect designer, and I know there was a process to get it done, and I'm sure county management and all the oversight was involved, but this is a little bit of a it is what it is. I don't want to say the lipstick on a pig analogy, but that room is what that room is, and it wasn't a great opportunity to start with on that space to try to make it work for the objectives of that renovation. So they've got what they've got, and I think had to make some tough choices there.
So do they think we're all going to sit up there? What is there a plan?
That's a great question. We can get you an answer to that question. Absolutely.
Yeah, because is there an auditorium there of any other facility? Trying to think of anything I've ever been in that would accommodate, 50
Right.
public. I don't think so.
Well,
Right.
we had that one hearing where when the clock strikes 4, we're going to have to end it. But that one hearing that we had on Perrin wind farm, that was held at one of the buildings out on 180.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? It's 4 o'clock, so I think that this is a good conversation to keep having, but we can't do it now. So, Mr. McNeely, would you please? It is 4 o'clock. Would you please begin the study session?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair, Chair Taveras, and commissioners. Just doing a quick, I see we have 14 people on the meeting. As we jump into our agenda here, I'm going to try to see who all we have, who we anticipated having with us, and who we're missing. And Shar and or Marty, if you're seeing any of the commissioners missing that we anticipated having with us, if you guys could let us know who that would be. See, Sheila is now. Okay. Well, Madam Chair, as we discussed recently, we do have a new appointee to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Rose Tohi from District 4. So Rose was nominated by Supervisor Judy Begay and has been appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission, has done her oath of office. And we were hoping to have her on at the beginning of this meeting, but possibly even one of the things with being new. So if I could ask Shar and Marty, if you guys could do a quick check and see, and if any communication maybe you guys would have that would let us know if we can anticipate having Rose on here, especially in the study session where we do a little more welcoming.
Mr. McNeely, this is Chair Taveras. This has happened to me before where I was at another computer and it's signed on with that computer owner's name. Mm-hmm. Do you think that might be the case here, that our new Chair Tohi might be here under another name?
One of the things I am looking through. Yeah, I know of all the people we have in the meeting, I don't see. I recognize everyone's name who is in the meeting as either being a commissioner or a staff member.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I don't see Rose, unfortunately, on here yet, but hey, maybe hopefully we will get her on here in time for the hearing.
Yes, and I do hope so as well. So, okay, regardless, we do not have to have a quorum for a study session. And so we can start the study session now. And even so, we do have at least a quorum for the hearing. And I did just get notified by Mary that or Commissioner Williams, that she is attempting to get signed on. So we're going to be seeing her any moment now. Okay.
Good. Thank you for that, Chair Taveras. Okay.
You're welcome.
Well, Chair Taveras, if it's okay with you, we could go ahead and jump into the study session agenda.
Yep, please do.
Okay, thank you. Well, commissioners, Chair Taveras, commissioners, staff, thanks for joining us for today's Planning and Zoning Commission study session agenda. This is your August 30th, 2023 study session agenda. We've got until 5:30. I don't think we'll need all that time, but thank you for all joining us in this meeting. Thank you for joining us in Teams. Please let us know certainly myself or Shar to start with. If anyone has any issues with Teams, this is a choice that we had to make for today, based on some staff and technology availability. And if this works well, Teams is something that we don't have to pay for, being that the county is a Microsoft customer. It's a Microsoft product, and it does work pretty well for us, and many of us have seen it work well for other hearings. So just did want to note that slight difference as we jump into your study session agenda.
Hey, Jess, Rose is here now.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. So, Madam Chair, with that, I realize we have an agenda, but it's the study session agenda, so it's not an official public hearing. So, Madam Chair, if you would like, it looks like we have Rose Tohi with us now to do a welcome for our newest commissioner, Rose.
Yes, I think that would be great. Commissioner Tohi, this is Chair Aunt Taveras. And I believe I can safely speak for all of the other, my fellow commissioners. Welcome to the Coconino County Planning and Zoning Commission. We look forward to working with you. And hopefully we will actually get to meet you one day soon in person. And Mr. McNeely, if you have anything to add, or Commissioner Tohi, if you have any comments, please feel free to comment.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the welcome. And I also look forward to working with all of you. And I'm pleased to be here. And thank you to the Board of Supervisors for the appointment. And for those of you who don't know, I work for the City of Flagstaff in the City Manager's Office as the Coordinator for Indigenous Initiatives. I've lived in the Flagstaff area, both in Flagstaff and Donny Park, for about 45 years. Raised 3 sons here, and I'm still raising my husband. So that's who I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Tohi. And I am pronouncing your name right.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Very well. Well, welcome. And Mr. McNeely, do you have any other comments on this before we begin the study session?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Taveras. I had a great opportunity to do an orientation with Commissioner Tohi. And Commissioner Tohi has a great understanding of our community, of our county, and will bring a great perspective to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Commissioner Tohi is as she mentioned, knows our community well, knows her neighborhood well. And several of us have had the pleasure of receiving some educational sessions that Commissioner Tohi gave on some cultural opportunities. And I, for one, have really appreciated when I was new to the area, new to the region, and new to working for the county. It was great to learn more about the cultures of our community and of our region. And certainly Rose is known in the community as an expert in talking and teaching about the cultures of this area. So thank you for joining us, Commissioner Tohi. All right, well, Madam Chair, we can jump into the agenda now.
Yes, please do.
Okay, thank you. First item on your agenda will be going through the cases, the requests that have come to staff that we anticipate being on your public hearing agenda for next month, Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. We have 4 items on here, all of them conditional use permits. And we would like to give you a quick orientation. We have these assigned to various staff, and we can give you a quick, at least visual orientation, discussion of what's being requested in anticipation of these coming to you for public hearing next month. The first one, CUP 2310, conditional use permit for a cottage industry. Some of you are going to remember this site because this site has had cottage industries before. It's on a 13.3 acre parcel in the G zone in the Parks within the Parks Area Plan in what we refer to as Pittman Valley. Bob Short is managing this case. So Bob, thank you for sharing your screen, and go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. McNeely. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commission. Can everyone hear me and see my screen?
Hear you great and see your screen.
All right. This is the Oxborough Cottage Industry, CUP 23010. And in this case, the applicant is Eric and Misty Oxborough Williams. The location of the property is at 8311 East Old Route 66. It's based in the Pittman Valley Parks area. Size of the property is 13.36 acres, which is a large property appropriate for a cottage industry. The zoning is general. And the request is a conditional use permit for a cottage industry to operate a machine shop. This is some of the details about the proposal. It would be a small machine shop, 3,000 square feet in a shop structure. Like Ms. McNeely mentioned, this was a previous location of a cottage industry for an auto repair shop. It is located near Interstate 40, and it's about 1,000 feet from the nearest home, and this would help limit noise impacts from the machine shop. The machine shop would use CNC milling machines. I'm not sure what that is, but we'll find out probably more. To cut several types of materials, including steel, aluminum, brass, and plastics, and all excess materials would be recycled if possible. The applicant would like to teach some apprentices at the shop and in the future employ 1 or 2 people. Most of the material would be shipped through FedEx, UPS, and that would not create a lot of frequent visits, not any more than a standard home these days where we get a lot of things shipped to us. The majority of the work would be done over the internet so that it would limit foot traffic as well to the property. It wouldn't require a lot of people to stop by the property. This is a vicinity map showing the subject property. This is the Pittman Valley exit. The Kadampa Center is right here. This is basically known as Pittman Valley. This is Sherwood Forest down here. And this is this Sherwood Forest goes right through here. This is Interstate 40, Route 66 again, goes back into parks, the main parks area. All this is in the G zone, as you can see, very large acre parcels. Scenario photos showing the subject property. This is the house on the subject property, and this is the machine shop. As I said, used to be used for auto repair business. You can see an area in the back where things can be stored. I was just by here the other day, and there's nothing there right now, so lots of room for storage. This is probably some of the cars or some of the storage for the auto repair business. It is, I think, about 300 feet from the interstate, so there's a lot of ambient background noise here that would block out the noise from the machine shop. And it's about 1,000 feet to this property on this home over here, so there would not be a lot of noise from this. It would be heard. On this side, by the way, this is Coconino National Forest, actually Kaibab National Forest. So there is no impact on this side either. Seems like a good place for that. I have asked the applicant to provide me with more information about what kind of insulation is around the building, whether or not it would operate with the doors open, give me some decibel readings from the property line, and et cetera. I imagine when he takes decibel readings, he'll probably get more noise from the interstate than from the actual this machine shop. This is a site plan. You can again see the shop and the house. And I have again asked for some updates to the site plan to show the driveway coming in, the parking, and etc. And with that, are there any questions from the commission?
Mr. Short, I am not seeing any. So with that,
Tammy,
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think I just saw Commissioner Ruggles' hand raised.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know
I did
what?
raise a hand, but
do.
I don't know
Give me-
where it's showing up.
I don't see a hand raised, Commissioner Ruggles, but I do see you unmuted. So you go ahead.
Let's try that.
Oh, I see you now. Okay, there you go.
I guess the click was a little bit off center on the hand for that, so I apologize for that. Anyway, I would like to let Mr. Short know that I wish to go along with him when he posts this site for several reasons. One, I went out there for the CUP that was granted in 2012, so I'm familiar with the site, and the layout appears to have been the same. I also have a considerable amount of data on the operation, the sound levels when CNC machine centers operate as a result of another CUP for a similar purpose we granted a few years ago. So I also have a much better sound level meter, and take a look at some of the noise levels surrounding the property. And with respect to the previous use, I would doubt that the noise levels would be as high. Typically a CNC, which by the way stands for Computer Numerical Control, CNC Machine Center, operates, and I've been around them a lot. Last 12 years of my work was in a shop that used a number of them. Typically, they give you sound levels about 10 feet from the machine of around 70. Some can go as high as 80 if they're older equipment. But we'll just talk to the applicant a little bit about what the machines are that he intends to use, because the data is readily available. Okay, that's all I have to add as a comment here.
Thank you, Commissioner Ruggles.
Mhm. Okay, now I'm really not seeing any other hands raised, Mr. Short. So, Mr. McNeely, if we could move to item number 2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 2 is CUP 2336, conditional use permit for an RV as a residence in the AR1 1 acre zone, and this is in Valley. Kelly from our staff is managing this case. So Kelly, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and give us an orientation to this request. Seeing your calendar.
Yes. Yep, that's not the right screen. Hold on. There we go. All right, thank you. I'll be introducing CUP 2336 this afternoon. It is a request for an RV as a permanent residence. The property owner and applicant in this case is Anders Ottoson. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. The parcel is 1 acre in size. It's in the AR zone, and that's why it requires a CUP in order for this RV to be used as a permanent residence. The subject property is in Valley. As you can see, it's just north of the 180 right here. And to give a quick overview of what the applicant would like to do, they would like to have a gravel parking pad for the RV. They would haul their water, use solar power, and for waste, they would dump it at an approved dump station. The applicant also made a note that they would keep lighting to a minimum, so I included that here. And here is the site plan that they provided. As you can see, the RV will be in the center, well within all of the setbacks. They would have a gravel driveway, so relatively low impact request. And that is pretty much it. Staff will be checking the zoning ordinance in the Valley Area Plan, but is there anything that the commission would like to hear about?
Okay, Ms. Bingham, this is Chair Ontiveros, and I'm really not seeing any hands raised or any unmutes? So I'm going to say that the commission has no questions. So with that, we can go ahead and go to item number 3, please.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And item number 3, also a conditional use permit for an RV as a residence, CUP 2338. Also in Valley, this one is being managed by Zach Schwartz from our staff. So Zach, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and you can orient the commission to this request.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely, Madam Chair, and members of the commission. This is CUP 23038. It's a request for an RV as a permanent residence. The property owner and applicant is Lexington Isham. Property is located on Valley Road in Valley, and the property is approximately an acre in the AR zone. That's agricultural residential, a single family residential zone.
Lost your screen share there, Zach.
Jess, it looks like he's dropped off the meeting, maybe.
Yeah, I was just checking the same thing. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. So, Madam Chair, it looks like we lost Zach for a second here. He'll probably be trying to jump back on the meeting. If it's okay with you, Madam Chair, if we could jump to item 4, we could get back to 3 so Zach could at least show you the slides that he has.
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So item 4, CUP 2343, also a conditional use permit for an RV as a residence, also in Valley. And Kelly Bingham of our staff has this case. So Kelly, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and orient the commissioners to this request.
Thank you, Mr. McNeely. So this is CUP 2343, another request for an RV as a permanent residence. In this case, the applicant is Cedric Dosu or Dussault. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a 1-acre parcel in the AR zone. And again, they're requesting the CUP for that so they can use their RV permanently. This is also in the Valley area. This one's a little closer to Highway 64, just south of the interchange between Highway 64 and Highway 180. This RV would have a deck, if approved. They would haul water. They would like to dump waste at an approved dump station for now, but they do intend to install a septic system. They also intend to use solar power for now. And they've indicated that they would like to build a single family home and that they would like to have it finished by next spring, May 2024. Here's the site plan that they provided. As you can see, the RV is right here, a little to the north, but mostly in the center of the property, well within the setbacks. And they've also indicated where the proposed septic might go. And again, staff will be checking the zoning ordinance and the Valley area plan, but are there any questions or concerns from the commission?
Ms. Bingham, this is Chair Ontiveros. I don't see any hands raised or any unmutes by the commissioners. So I do not believe there's any questions at this time. And it does look like we've got Mr. Schwartz back. Oh, yeah.
Madam Chair, sorry about that. I think I must have accidentally pressed escape and actually went through the whole presentation. And then after that, I noticed that I wasn't on the meeting.
Oh, it's okay. Trust me, I am not judging. So
So the escape button works.
It does.
Escape button works. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Schwartz, why don't you go ahead? We took number 4. You were doing number 3. We did number 4. So why don't you go ahead and just jump in right now on number 3 on your case, please.
All right. Thank you, Chair Ontiveros, and thank you, commissioners. This is case CUP 23038. The applicant and owner is Lexington Isham from Las Vegas, and the property is located on Valley Road in the Valley area. The parcel size is approximately 1 acre, and it's in the AR zone. That's agricultural residential, a 1 acre minimum single family residential zone. And this request is for a conditional use permit to use an RV as a permanent residence. The applicant would use an Airstream RV for this, and it would be for their family to stay in. The applicant would connect the wastewater from the Airstream to a portable tank that they would then take offsite, I believe, to the Raptor Ranch property nearby in the Valley area and dump it there. That's, I think, the short-term plan, and I think in the long term, the applicant is planning to install a septic. The applicant would haul water to the property as well, and they would get approvals through a building permit to use solar for power there. And in the very long run, the applicant plans to actually build a home and replace the RV with an actual home when they're able to afford to do that. Here's a vicinity map of the Valley area. Here's the junction of Highway 64 and 180. So out here to the east, in the middle of the Grand Canyon subdivision, where all the properties are also in the AR zone, we have the subject property. And here's an aerial of the subject property. You can see that nothing really is around it. I'll maybe have a few improvements on the site plan by the time that we get to the hearing, but basically what you can see here is just the RV is meeting these dash lines, the setbacks. North is to the right side of your screen. And aside from that, it's a pretty simple case, but I'm happy to take any comments, questions, or things that I should analyze for the case.
All right, Mr. Schwartz, this is Sharon Taveras. I'm not seeing any hands raised or unmutes, so I don't believe there are any questions for you. So thank you for that. And Mr. McNeely, if you would like to go to the Community Development Department update, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Item 1 here on the department update. This is the last month of this current Route 66 Brownfields EPA grant. And we do have Melissa Shaw, our long range planner, with us, who has been our main staff person in working with this grant. So if just want to check and see if anyone has any questions on the grant. And we do believe there is the potential of having another grant in the future. There are some of the member organizations that joined in on the last grant who would be interested in doing the grant again. Madam Chair, I see that Commissioner Best raised his hand, and I know Melissa's with us if there's any questions or comments.
Yes, I do see Commissioner Best. Please go ahead.
Yeah, is there any money left? I would recommend this to a local organization, but I just wonder how much is there still.
Commissioner Best, this is Melissa Shaw. I don't know the exact amount. Last time we checked, there were still some funds, but they should go ahead and apply to NACOG. And just to make sure that there is or is not anything left. If you need, or if they need a contact and a link to the application site, just have them contact me.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're not keeping track. I'm not keeping track of the running total of the remaining funds. So this is down to the bottom, the last wire. So yeah, they should contact us. But if this does not work for this grant round, then we do anticipate there'll be another grant, and that could happen pretty quickly within the next year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shaw. I think we can bump to number 2, Mr. McNeely.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 2, we do continue to work pretty active, especially Melissa, our long-range planner, in working with the City of Flagstaff on the Flagstaff Regional Plan Just wanted to check and see if any commissioners had any questions on the regional plan, and Melissa can let you know what you can anticipate seeing here in the relatively near future with activity on the regional plan. So Melissa, if you wanted to let the commissioners know what the next steps are that they will be seeing.
Thanks, Jess. So for those of you who have been tracking this, we are in the phase where starting to schedule the workshops and open houses. Those will be in November to actually get the public together to do scenario choosing. So these will be very informative and really important workshops for everyone to keep an eye on and make an effort to attend. So I don't have the exact dates yet. I know that we're the city staff in particular is looking to set those dates. And then there'll be several workshops over at least a week where you'll be able to go and look at the results of the workshops that were held earlier this spring and look at all of those. Those are called Face the Future workshops, where community members got together, did some game playing with growth scenarios and growth ideas. Those will be pulled together into major themes, and that's going to then set the stage for what the final future land use map of the regional plan will look like. So these are, if you haven't been involved yet in any of the workshops, this is another great opportunity. I know the workshops will be interactive, very informative, so you'll be able to pick it up and give your input then. So we'll make sure we get you information as those get scheduled. And I'm happy to answer any more questions. And if you're not on the regional plan mailing list, then let me know and we will send you the link to that. I believe all of you are, though.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shaw. Not seeing any hands raised. Mr. McNeely, please go to number 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So item number 3, letting you know we continue to work, specifically Melissa Shaw as the long-range planner, in managing the project of updating our comprehensive plan. We are calling that Envision 2045. This next weekend, we will have kind of our biggest public engagement kickoff activity, in that we will have a booth at the county fair. If any of the commissioners are at the county fair, please stop by our booth. We have some great activities for you. We have a puzzle of the map of Coconino County. I would think it would be a planning and zoning commissioner requirement that you should be able to put the puzzle together of the map of Coconino County. So we have some engaging activities, and certainly the purpose of this is to get input from the public in this phase of getting input on the vision for the comprehensive plan. Also, at this phase in the comprehensive plan update, we have been working on what we call our community assessment reports, CARs. We've gotten a lot of input from a lot of staff and even other organizations on the community assessment reports. As we get these community assessment reports, good details about each of our unincorporated communities put together, we are heading out to those communities to do focus group engagement. We sincerely appreciate several of you commissioners in providing names of community leaders for these focus group engagements. We have our first one kicking off tomorrow afternoon, evening in Valley, a spot that you get a lot of cases from. So we are looking forward to doing that focus group engagement. We appreciate you all participating in the focus group questions. We use testing the questions on you all to refine those focus group questions to take out to the community to ask them about their vision for the future of the county. So with that, Melissa, am I missing anything that we want to let the commissioners know about with the comprehensive plan update?
I think, Jess, I'd just like to add regarding the focus groups, we're planning on going out to about 20 of the communities in the county. We have maybe 2/3 of those scheduled through October so far. And we're hoping to get those scheduled and conducted before travel is more difficult with winter weather. So, yeah, we'll continue to put those out there. So, and then we'll be reporting back to you. We haven't decided yet if we should be reporting back to you midway or when the process is concluded, because these specific questions will help us form the vision of the plan. So we'll get back to you and certainly update you about the results. I will say that in Valley, we've had very good response, and most of the communities that we've connected, we've had really good response to going out and meeting people. So we're excited.
Thanks, Melissa. Madam Chair, any questions from the commissioners on the comprehensive plan update?
I was just looking. I'm not seeing any hands raised or any unmutes. So I think that we can go ahead and bump to the Board of Supervisors update, please.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Wanted to let you know that on September 12th, the Board of Supervisors will be holding a public hearing on Appeal 2301. That would be an appeal of the commissioners, the Planning and Zoning Commission's denial of CUP 2307, the vertical bridge cell tower in Kaibab Estates West. So the applicant appealed their denial, and we'll take that to the Planning and Zoning, to the Board of Supervisors on September 12th. Any questions on that item on Appeal 2301? Okay, Madam Chair, not seeing any. Also on September 12th, it's not on your agenda because we're just able to wrap up some details. Another case, the Shadow Mountain Village zone change and subdivision preliminary plat will be going to the Board of Supervisors. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard this quite some time ago. It's been going on a year since the Planning and Zoning Commission heard this request for a change of zoning regulations in the PC zone, the planned community zone, for commercial development and a townhouse subdivision development in Belmont as part of the Shadow Mountain Village subdivision. This is one of the phases. The applicant had a lot of work to do with Public Works and community development staff in figuring out what the public transportation infrastructure improvements would be. If you remember, this case was adjacent to the new roundabout out in Belmont, and what the proportional share was going to be from the various commercial properties to go to the improvements in that area. Staff had to do a lot of work to develop a development agreement in time to go to the Board of Supervisors, so the Board of Supervisors could approve that. We were happy to get this done. I know the developers, as generally they are, anxious to get moving. So that item will go to the Board of Supervisors for their hearing and approval on September 12th. Any questions on the Shadow Mountain Village commercial and townhouse multifamily development? All right.
Mr. McNeely, I am not seeing any, so I think we can go ahead and jump to commission and staff roundtable.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. We do have one other thing here on the Board of Supervisors update. I realize I slid in the discussion on the Shadow Mountain Village in Belmont that was not on your study session agenda because it was a late add to the board agenda. But we did want to point out, many of you are aware, as a matter of fact, we've had discussions with several planning and zoning commissioners that the county has now, the Board of Supervisors has now adopted a short-term rental ordinance that was approved by the Board of Supervisors on August 8th. We have it available. We have it available at our website. If anyone would like to review it, we have a great flyer that we've created to go out to the public on how they can get their required permit for a short-term rental. So just to let you know, the short-term rental ordinance applies to single-family dwellings, single-family homes, typically zoned one of our single-family residential zoning districts where the home was built to code through the permitting process through the county as a single-family dwelling. And there's now a required permit if you want to short-term rent. Short-term is anything less than 30 days. The typical web-based platforms that we're all familiar with is Airbnb, VRBO, very common in our community, as many of you know. So this ordinance is now in place. It is not a part of the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance is now still completely in place. This is a separate ordinance, and there were several decisions that were made as to why the short-term rental ordinance really falls under different statutes from state law than the zoning ordinance, and why a separate standalone short-term rental ordinance would be in place. But our department is charged with managing the permitting process of these short-term rental permits, and of course doing the code enforcement on that as well. So with that, Madam Chair, I see that Commissioner Best has his hand raised, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the short-term rental ordinance.
All right, Commissioner Best, your hand was first, so go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually raised it for the roundtable.
Oh.
I raised it in the few seconds between when roundtable was mentioned and when you jumped in, so I'll just wait.
Well, Madam Chair, boy, as many calls as I get from the public on a daily basis on this short-term rental ordinance, I was really anticipating some from the planning and zoning commissioners.
But you know, actually, we passed an ordinance years ago, and I think,
yes.
And then the state legislature, in its wisdom, took that away from us. So I think the elements, I've read about this in the paper. I think the elements in this ordinance were in the ordinance we passed. So, you know, I plus we had more elements. So I think I'm pretty comfortable with it. The main thing seems to be that you need to have somebody to respond 24/7, and that's very important.
Yep. We are very much falling in line with City of Flagstaff and many other cities and counties across the state, now that the state legislature recently opened up the ability to require a permit and a few other provisions. So really, a single family dwelling is still a single family dwelling. They still have the right to rent short term, less than 30 days, or by the night if it is. But there is a permitting process. There's a notification process of the surrounding property owners when you're getting that permit. And there's a requirement that someone is going to respond to complaints. So, and we're able to charge for this permit. So that helps generate funds for a position within our department. We actually have a position posted at this point in time. Would fall under code enforcement, but it would be the code enforcement person managing short-term rentals, and that would be on both the permitting side of ensuring all the permit requirements are met in order to issue the permit, and code enforcement if necessary. So any other questions, Madam Chair or commissioners, on the short-term rental ordinance?
You know, this is Commissioner Best again. I wonder how if the supervisors have discussed this. I read in the media occasionally that other towns experience the same thing we do with the pressure on housing that short-term rentals create. And I wonder if there's any organized effort to convince the legislature that communities should be able to regulate perhaps a percentage of short-term rentals, or something that would take a little pressure off the housing market.
Madam Chair, a point of order. I believe that we've gotten way off topic here. Philosophically discussing potential future laws has really nothing to do with what we're trying to do as a planning and zoning commission at this point, in my opinion.
I'll be happy to bring this up in the roundtable.
Yeah, and okay, Commissioner Wilson, this is Chair Ontiveros. I think that the study session does seem to roll a little looser than the public hearing. And so we were moving into commission and staff roundtable after just having talked about short-term rental. So Commissioner Best can roll it into the commission and staff roundtable at this time, and that would be in order. So Commissioner Best, if you would please go ahead.
Well, I think I made my statement. I just wonder if staff is in communication or if there's been any discussion among the supervisors. We had a significantly deeper look at short-term rentals in the ordinance that we passed years ago. And I just, as I say, I read in the media that other towns around Arizona, I've read specifically about Sedona and Scottsdale, are sort of discussing what they would like to see happen. And I think I would support that discussion. So maybe in the communication between staff and the supervisors, that'd be an interesting question to ask. I had another thing to bring up. If anybody else wants to talk about short-term rentals, I could hold off.
Well, and Madam Chair, Commissioner Best, this is Jess with staff. The one thing I would respond to on kind of you posed a question on who all is who staff is aware of, and I'm happy to within this study session and certainly under Commission Staff Roundtable discuss what staff is aware of in our professional contacts and in our engagements. You mentioned the board. Certainly no discussion with the board, or certainly no formal discussion with the board on any continued proposals for regulating short-term rentals. And I completely understand this is a common topic now at the local government level, where communities like ours, where there are a lot of short-term rentals, it cuts into the housing supply. And in a way, analysis would show it helps drive up housing price. And housing affordability, housing availability, workforce housing are major issues in our community, as we know. I can tell you for a fact that the Arizona League of Cities, and now the name escapes me of who our lobbying organization is for counties, what we call the Arizona Counties Association, have both continued to lobby and have discussions at state capitol regarding giving local governments more local control on regarding short-term rentals for many purposes, not the least of which would be to be able to manage their housing stock within their communities. We're now getting to the point of being able to, many cities are to the point of knowing exactly how many homes, how many dwelling units are in their community, and what percentage of those dwelling units are used as short-term rentals. We may get there eventually as a county, especially now that we're going to have a permitting process, and be able to do some more analysis in what we do and what you all do as planning and zoning commissioners in looking at land use issues and certainly housing across the county. So I hope, Commissioner Best, that helps let you know what's going on within the state.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds like we are part of the conversation that I read about in the media occasionally. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Best, this is Chair Taveras. Did you have, your hand was first raised so you could be first at Commission and Staff Roundtable. Was there something that you wanted to bring up there that you haven't talked about already?
Yeah, tonight we read through a couple of RVs as permanent residence cases, and this is just roundtable discussion. I wonder what staff thinks and what other commissioners think. We seem to be just basically reading through a list and approving. I can't remember that we've come up with any issues on these. And I wonder if an administrative process would be more appropriate for these, especially if it gave us the time and green energy to maybe do a check after 12 months, because You know, these are trailers out in the middle of nowhere who are saying that they're going to take their waste to the dump, to an appropriate dump, and you know, we definitely want to make sure that that happens, but we don't really have a system for checking. And so if we went to, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, if we went to more of an administrative process, we'd make it easier on the applicant, a little cheaper, easier on staff initially. And then if we could check up after a year and make sure that waste is not going in a hole in the backyard, and that the other conditions have actually been accomplished. Just an idea I'm throwing out there. Thank you.
So, Madam
Okay,
Chair,
thank-
this just with staff, I could, in a way, I think, answer some questions and maybe give a little perspective on Commissioner Best's very good comments there.
Yes, please do.
So, if you all remember when we last updated the zoning ordinance in 2019, that was when we created this conditional use permit to use an RV as a permanent residence. If you step back a little bit, we've always had, or for probably decades, had the option to get a temporary use permit to essentially camp on your land in your recreational vehicle. We knew we had areas where RVs were really becoming affordable housing, permitted or not. And this was a way that we could move towards allowing a permitting process to use an RV. An RV is still a vehicle. It's built to the ANSI or REVA standard, not to a building code. But this was a way that we could look at, hey, how can we make this compatible with your surrounding land uses? How can we at least have something look at the process on how you will be within compliance of other county codes that apply? We do have an administrative process for properties in the G zone on 10 acres or more. And we issue a good number of those permits. They're administrative. As a matter of fact, we've made them very quick and easy with our permitting software. You pick from a menu of drop downs on getting those permits issued. So to shed light back on the discussion of what's the right level, the concern was when you get on smaller acreages, you could be impacting your neighbors. And a CUP is the tool under our zoning ordinance and under state statute for looking at a land use that you might not expect in that zone and making sure it's compatible with the surrounding properties and that's a good location for it. So we do have some good data, or we have some experience, and we could even come up with the numbers on how many administrative permits we have issued for RV as a permanent residence in the G zone on 10 acres or more. I think this is certainly something that we could explore into the future. As we all know, the zoning order should be a living document that responds to trends and needs and impacts. So I hope, Commissioner Best, that helps give some input on your discussion.
Thank you for that, Mr. McNeely. And I will just add that how we do hearing agenda items via consent now, we can lump quite a few of those together when we have them, like this evening, for example, we have 2. So in the interim, between the time you're checking and if administrative, Mr. McNeely, would be something that we could do, I do believe in the interim, a very time-conserving measure is the consent agenda for now. I'm just throwing that out there. So
absolutely, yeah, Madam Chair and Commissioner Best. The other thing I would add to that is we have yet to have seen, or none of us can recall off the tops of our heads, one of these conditional use permits for an RV, say on a 1 acre lot, that had any opposition from the neighbors. But that could very well come in the future. Which is these are smaller lots, so that is possibly one of the concerns of some future impact. Most of the ones we get, like the ones that came to you on study session this evening, they don't have any development, any site built permanent homes around them. But if that happened in the future, that would be that compatibility test of is this a compatible land use in the zone, with other property owners in that zone. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that actually, this is Sharon Taveras. That does make sense. I have noticed, and I correct me, anyone, if you feel that I've misstated this, but a lot of them have been up in the Valley area that seem to have been coming through a lot lately. So, all right. With that, Commissioner Wilson, your hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Well, I'm happy to say that Commissioner Best and I agree completely on this particular issue. Because I had prepared a short list of conditions that if they were met, that we could do this administrative approval of these CUP, or as opposed to a CUP, RVs as permanent dwellings. And the list of things that I had developed and certainly open to other suggestions was a minimum lot size of an acre, that there was no opposing public comments from either public meetings or otherwise, that the applicant addresses how they would handle their wastewater, and then maybe a couple of standard conditions regarding noise standards and generators, those kinds of things. And that as long as those minimum conditions were met, that administratively these ought to be approved, because there's really no value in us listening to, well, first of all, the staff's time that's involved with having to do site visits and everything else, and then us having to review and then approve. We just approved them. I don't see the value there, and I would love to see this process expedited even more, both for staff resource time and for the applicant's time. So thank you, Commissioner Best, for bringing this up, and I just wanted to add that to that discussion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Just a question. If it wasn't done via CUP, how would neighbors know what was going on and voice opposition if it was something that they didn't want, if it was just done administratively? Mr.
Right,
McNeely?
they still have, I'm
Or
sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Wilson.
There would still have to be some type of public notice in this process. It couldn't be purely administrative. So, a 30-day public notice period, a public meeting period, and then that would be it, as long as those other conditions were met.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I do think that the public, because I do understand the balance that Mr. McNeely was talking about, that sometimes these uses are going to go in where maybe the neighbors might not be so accepting of it. So, okay. Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Vice Chair Burton, you're up.
I'll piggyback on that sentiment, because I also think that there should just be some kind of standards, and they can be administrative. And I think, posting a notice saying that there is an application out there and giving them, a resource as far as they could send an email or something, and then it could be determined if they get any feedback that it either needs to go to CUP or it could be administratively done. But that's just an idea. Another thing that I wanted to bring up was I was curious if we could just go back to Zoom, because I was having problems with Teams today, and Teams is great for internal organizations, but not as friendly to people who aren't part of the organization. So I was wondering if there was any particular reason we're not on Zoom this time around, or if we can maybe do the next ones on Zoom. I don't know how anyone else feels about that.
All right. I think I know some other comments that are going to be coming up. Let's go ahead and run through them. We're going to circle back to that, Vice Chair Burton. Commissioner Ruggles?
Okay. I'm not invisible this time.
No, you're not.
I think excellent description of what could be done from an administrative standpoint in doing this. I'm just speaking up to remind people that you'd have to initiate a change of the zoning ordinance to do that. But I'm in no disagreement with this if after informed debate on it, we can make the right decision in terms of a change in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ruggles. Let's see, Commissioner Wilson, you are up next.
I was just going to comment on Vice Chair Burton's suggestion with Zoom. So if Commissioner Williams has a different issue, let's go with that first.
Okay, Commissioner Williams, would you like to chime in? I bet I know.
Wanted to agree 100% with Commissioner Burton because it took me about 20 minutes to figure out how to get on here. I mean, maybe now that it worked, I'll be able to figure it out sooner, but Zoom was a lot easier, I will say. So that's my comment.
Okay, I suspected that's what it was going to be, Commissioner Williams. So,
yeah, you know, as I'm texting you frantically, like, oh my God, I can't get on.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to Commissioner Wilson.
So my thought on the change back to Zoom would be that they've recently changed their end user license agreement standards to ones that are a little bit looser in respect to how they can use the content that they transmit for you. And I think before we would make that decision, it would be important for us to take a careful look at the fact that they can use everything we say, everything that we, and any visuals or other images, any way they would like. And that is not true with Teams. So before we make that decision, I think we need to look at the big picture of the potential impacts of that. And that was all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Okay, Commissioner Williams, your hand is still up, as is yours, Commissioner Wilson. Do either of you, okay, let's see. Okay, Commissioner Ruggles, you're up.
I'll have to say that I agree with Commissioner Wilson on this in terms of looking at the ramifications of using Zoom. I will say that I agree with two other commissioners here and that I find Zoom easier to use, but I will just have to get used to whatever is going to work the best and work without additional strings attached also. And that probably means continuing with Teams at this point. That would be my guess. Thank you.
Madam Chair, you are muted.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That's why I never judge. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands raised. We've got a half an hour, certainly not that it's going to take that long. Mr. McNeely, I wanted to circle back to the conversation that we were having before the study session began, and that was the in-person P&Z Commission hearings. Now I'm going to recap because I know that Commissioner Williams was not present, and so if I misstate anything, I want you to correct me. But I believe that you said that the remodel was done in the auditorium, and the dais is now smaller than what it was. So it accommodates about what, 5 or less people now, probably 5 because there's 5 supervisors. But I do know what you were talking about. There did seem to be a place maybe for the clerk or the attorney. It's been so long since we've been in there, my memory has escaped me. So I've got a question. This remodel that was done, I'm currently in a major remodel at one of my locations. And when we started this remodel, we thought, why are we doing what we're doing? Okay, there was a why to it. Why was this remodel done to begin with? Number one, that's my first question.
Okay, thanks, Madam Chair. And can certainly respond to that. The primary reason the remodel was done was to accommodate what we are all now commonly referring to as hybrid meetings. It was to accommodate the technology, to hold meetings that are in person, that board members or staff or the public could participate in those meetings equally from the room, the board's chambers, or online. So that involves cameras, microphones, speakers, and screens. So the short answer is that the remodel was done to accommodate hybrid meetings for the board.
Okay, that's the first question. So in this remodel to accommodate hybrid meetings, why was the dais shrunk?
So, Madam Chair, that is a great question. That's going to get in some pretty technical responses, really, from our facilities department, possibly even our IT department, in making that work. I really can't give a definitive answer as to why the dais was shrunk. I know our director, Jay Crystalman, is with us this evening. If he can give one, that would be helpful, but I don't know that the community development staff, that's not our, certainly not our responsibility. Back to Hawaii is not our Hawaii. And what we do is our mission for our organization. But yeah, I certainly can't give an answer to that specific question. I'm going to ask Jay if he could give an answer to that specific question.
Okay. Okay,
Thanks,
what do you know, Director Crystalman?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So a few months back, Facilities was hosting a work session with the board, and I was on, but not as a panelist. So the chat, they disabled the chat. So I'm texting with the Facilities Director, and I said, hey, we need a place for 10 seats for the commissioners. And he said, okay, thanks for letting me know. And then he mentioned it during the work session with the board. And then a few weeks later, he came back and he had said, the board decided to just go this other route. So I really don't know why that decision was made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
I provided input on what we needed.
No, and I just want to say, Director Crystalman, thank you for providing that input. Because I don't want to speculate here, and I certainly don't want to assume, but the Planning and Zoning Commission is, you know, we have public hearings, or we used to have, and I guess that what we're having now would be considered such. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say we used to have in-person public hearings, and it doesn't sound like that was something that it's clearly has not been accommodated. And I'm really wondering, I guess I'm wondering the why to it. Like, why wasn't this commission's public hearings accommodated? And I know that you don't have an answer. Who would hold that answer?
I would assume, Madam Chair, I'd assume either Facilities or the county manager's office or the board of supervisors. We could try to find out.
You know, I would appreciate it, Director Crystalman, if you could find out, and I don't believe that it's just Chair Ontiveros asking the question. I think I'm kind of speaking on behalf of some of the other commissioners as well. But with that, I see Commissioner Wilson's hand raised, and I see Commissioner Ruggles' hand raised. So Commissioner Wilson, you go first, and then Commissioner Ruggles, you follow up.
Madam Chair, thank you. I would suggest that what's happened has happened. I doubt we're going to get another remodel here in order to accommodate a board the size that we are. So instead, the questions that we should be asking is, okay, so where should we meet? We need a facility that can accommodate a hybrid meeting, that can accommodate the size of a board that we have, and that needs to be communicated to the Board of Supervisors, because we're not going to remodel that auditorium again to support us, I would suspect. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. And I do agree with your comments that what is done is done. I guess maybe I was trying to figure out if there was some plan that the Planning and Zoning Commission was not going to be meeting in person. I guess I was trying to figure out maybe if there was some other underlying reason, just to have all the facts in front of us. But I agree that what's done is done. And so what is the plan next? Completely concur with your comments. Commissioner Ruggles, you're up.
Yes, I had one additional question. In the past, with the previous arrangement, both the county manager and the attorney representing the county attorney's office were seated at the dais. Is that still the case, or have they become second-class citizens also?
That's another really good question. Director Krisselman, do you know?
Yeah, Madam Chair and commissioners, they have tables that are just portable tables that are sort of pushed up diagonally against the dais, and two people could sit at each. It's the attorney, county manager, and deputy county manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Ruggles, your hand is still raised. Do you have further comments? Questions, thoughts, ideas?
Sorry, I was muted there. In the past, we had to squeeze people in on the dais, even with 7 members of the commission present. But I also, my sentiments agree with those of Commissioner Wilson on this. It is what it is, but it kind of, at this point to me, depends on the layout that we have to deal with. After hearing the comments I heard about who is seated where from Jay, then I wonder if it isn't still possible to conduct a Planning and Zoning Commission hearing in the facility. I can't make a judgment on that myself because I haven't seen it yet, but maybe I need to stop in and take a look at it before I say anything more.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Ruggles. And that's kind of where I'm at too. I haven't been in there. I don't have any firsthand knowledge. Commissioner Krisselman, you may not know the answer to this question, but does the city of Flagstaff, does their layout accommodate hybrid and a full seating of the council? I have, a larger facility than what we now have?
Madam Chair, yes, they do. They have considerable more room, and they are set up for also hybrid.
How much room do they have? Like, how many people sit at their dais? How many would their dais accommodate?
I want to say it probably fits 8 or 10.
So kind of what it would fit us, wouldn't it? What they have would fit us.
It would.
Okay, Commissioner Tohi, I see your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Well, the dais has the where the council members sit. There's 7 of them. So there's 7 seats up on there, and then the city manager or county attorney, they sit at a table down below near the podium. And then I think this, I don't know, it's theater style, so there's at least 80 seats in there.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Tohi. Yeah, you know what, Director Krisselman, you've heard the comments, the questions, the thoughts that have been out there. We're gonna toss the ball to you, okay? And why don't you toss it where you feel it best needs to land, and come back with us on what the future of this commission meeting in person looks like.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director Krisselman. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions or thoughts for Commission Roundtable? Okay, I'm not seeing.
Madam Chair, yeah, and
Oh, go ahead.
if none of the commissioners do, staff had at least one other thing that we wanted to bring up at your roundtable.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Although I see that Commissioner Wilson's hand just raised.
Yeah, Commissioner Wilson, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I just looked at a video capture of the city council. They've got 4 on each side plus the mayor's seat. So there's a total of 9 seats currently on the dais. And those are pretty comfortably spaced seats. So I would suspect 10 could be sat there relatively easily.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you know what? Actually, the reason that I was asking that question was because I thought that it is something that could have been done when this remodel was undergoing, you know, the change and transition. And now, if we have a similar facility within a stone's throw of this, obviously it's something that could have been done. So I guess maybe the question of why it wasn't, that's probably a moot point. I guess, again, we come back to Director Christleman, what are we going to do about it? So I'll leave it there. And Commissioner Ruggles, your hand's raised.
I'd say this is one of the things that an IGA is for, intergovernmental agreement.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Good time to start thinking about it.
Uh-huh. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. So, all right. There you go. There you go, Director Christleman. The ball's in your court. Have fun. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. McNeely, you go ahead with staff.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I would come back around just to close out on. We got all the comments about Teams versus Zoom. Sincerely appreciate everyone's input on that. That's what we needed to hear. So I can't give you a definitive answer this evening on what we can do for next month, but we certainly got your input. And if we go back to Zoom in time for next month, you'll know it by the time you get your agenda. If that's not possible, likewise, you will know that. But your notes are certainly taken. We have a great IT department. We have some great staff internally here who help us set this up. So your input is very valuable, very useful, and will help guide where we go with this in the future. Madam Chair, the only other thing I wanted to bring up is that planning and zoning staff will be joining the Arizona APA conference next week. I'm actually sharing my screen now from the conference. So several of our staff members are going to be engaged in some sessions. As a matter of fact, several of our staff are going to be participating in a session about renewable energy and discussing the process our county went through with our comprehensive plan and then our zoning ordinance in creating our renewable energy ordinance that is now being used extensively for renewable energy projects in our county. So we will be engaged in that. There is something that I wanted to call you all's attention to, comes to one of the topics that we've been discussing here even this evening, is on Wednesday, there is a keynote speaker at lunchtime that is going to discuss equity and housing. And let me see if I had it here before. Let me see if I can get this to the right spot. But if any of the planning and zoning commissioners were interested in attending the Wednesday keynote luncheon, got it up here, Journey Towards Planning Equity and the Role of Equity in All Policies, particularly housing, something that we talk about quite a bit. Our staff will all be there. If the commissioners wanted to attend, you could attend just that session and a lunch for $50. And we certainly have budget set aside for that if any of the planning and zoning commissioners would like to attend that session. That session specifically was noted by the Arizona APA organization as being a great thing to bring commissioners to. So they made this special provision that commissioners outside attendees who were not registered for the full conference could attend just that lunch for a little bit better fee. Any questions on that, or if any commissioners are interested, you can certainly let me know now or individually, preferably within the next couple of days, being that we're heading down there next Wednesday.
Commissioner Best, hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Any chance of doing that online?
Commissioner Best, great question. I believe this will be available online, so we will explore what we need to do to be able to have that captured to where you all could observe the same session online.
Yeah, or possibly just a recording thereof. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure recording will be available for sure, but if we could get it real time, we will let you know. Thank you.
That would be fun. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. McNeely, anything else?
No, Madam
Staff?
Chair.
Okay.
Thank you for all the input. And this was a great roundtable. Glad we had time for it.
Yes, agreed. All right. I'm not seeing any other commissioners' hands raised, so it's 5:20. Let's take a short break and we will start promptly at 5:30, the public hearing.
Hey, Jess, you want to talk after this?
Absolutely, Commissioner Best. So after we wrap up the public hearing, I'll when the chair closes the public hearing, I'll be happy to stay on and chat with you then.
Do you want to just do it right now? Don't have to
Well,
stay late.
hey, we could tell you what, you've got my phone number since this is kind of open to the public. You've got I'm going to go mute here. You've got my office phone number, same one you dialed a couple of times today.
Yeah.
When I was on another meeting. So if you want to dial that one right now, I can take you from that.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
have notes. I can write notes down.
Or you can get a piece of paper.
I'll just write notes. I don't have paper. I don't know where that is. Should need. Oh, yeah. Is it turned up?
All the way.
Mr. McNeely, this is Chair Aunt Taveras. Can you hear me?
Madam Chair, yes, this is Jess McNeely with staff. Hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, is staff ready to go? It is 5:30.
Madam Chair, yes, staff is ready to hold your public hearing.
All righty, it is 5:30 and I'm going to call this hearing to order. I'm going to begin by reading the meeting rules and procedures. Welcome to the August 30th, 2023 meeting of the Coconino County Planning and Zoning Commission. Cases will be heard in the order they appear on the agenda. Following the staff presentation, the applicant and/or the applicant's representative may address the commission. As an applicant, if you agree with the staff report and have no additional information, please feel free to keep your comments brief. Any relevant comments are welcome. Following the applicant's presentation, I will make a call to the public. If you wish to address this case, please state your name and address. We ask that your comments be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments must be relevant to the case. Please address all comments to the commission. No matter how strongly you may feel about the case, all comments must be polite and courteous. After all interested public have spoken, the public comment portion will be closed. Discussion will then take place amongst commissioners. Decisions of this commission regarding any zone change or preliminary subdivision plat approval are referred to the Board of Supervisors as a recommendation. All other case decisions are binding unless appealed to the Board of Supervisors. If you disagree with the commission's decision, you have 15 days to appeal. Please contact staff at the Community Development Office for appeal procedures. Due to the virtual nature of this meeting, I will be doing a roll call of the commissioners to ensure accuracy for the record. Please mute your speakers and turn off your camera. Also, do not use the comment function for discussions. It is for communicating with staff if there is some kind of a technical difficulty. With that, thank you all for joining us this evening and actively participating in our county planning. The first item on the agenda this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please rise. Mr. McNeely, would you please lead us?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Zach, for putting a flag on the screen. We will start now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McNeely. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the June 28th, 2023 minutes. If there are no changes, corrections, or modifications, I will accept a motion in a second, please.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Wilson and a second by Commissioner Best to approve the June 28th, 2023 minutes as written. All in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Ruggles.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Best.
Aye.
Vice Chair Burton.
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh.
Okay, aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And Commissioner Towhee.
Is it possible to abstain since I was not there?
Yes, and that would be the correct vote.
Thank you.
And this is Chair Ontiveros, and I also vote aye. That motion passes. Items 1, 2, and 3 on our public hearing agenda this evening, specifically case numbers CUP 23-018, CUP 23-031, case number case number CUP 23-035 are all simple CUP requests similar to others we have had in the past. Staff is recommending approval for all 3 requests, and there is no public opposition. I'm first going to ask if any of the commissioners want to discuss any of these cases, or rather approve them together with one motion. Then I'm going to ask if there is anyone in the public. So I'm going to ask if any of the commissioners would like to discuss any of these cases. Would you please raise your hand? Not seeing any, I'm going to ask if there is anyone in the public that wishes to address the commission on any of these cases this evening. If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will accept one motion to approve all 3 of these cases with the conditions as stated in the staff reports, and then a second, and then I'll do a roll call of the commissioners. Okay, so I've got Commissioner Ruggles.
I would like to make a motion on this. I move for commission approval with conditions as stated by staff for CUP 23-018, CUP 23-031 and CUP 23-035.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Walsh, your hand is raised.
I second that motion by
Okay,
Commissioner
I have
Ruggles.
a motion by Commissioner Ruggles to approve CUP 23018, CUP 23031, and CUP 23035 with conditions as written in the staff report. And I have a second by Commissioner Walsh. All in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Ruggles,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Best,
Aye.
Vice Chair Burton,
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Tohi.
Aye.
This is Chair Ontiveros. I also vote aye. The motion passes unanimously and all three previously mentioned cases have been approved. Before I adjourn, the next item, the final item on the agenda this evening is a call to public for items not on the agenda. Does anyone wish to address this commission this evening for items not on the agenda? Mr. McNeely, I'm going to need your help here for a second. Would you please look at the second number down? It's a 602-359-0610. Is that a hand raised? Like, what is that?
So, Madam Chair, that's an external external number that joined the meeting. I do not see a hand raised. There's a little symbol of a person with a phone. That phone number is muted. That is the only participant I see on this meeting that is not either staff or commission.
Okay, all right. So then I think that we're good there. Then I see nothing. This meeting is over. But before we adjourn, I would like to ask, is this Marty Hernandez's last meeting with us? And Marty, are you here with us? There you are.
Yes, I
Madam
am.
Chair, yes.
That is the last meeting.
Okay, Marty, I just, here I go again, speaking on behalf of the commissioners, but I feel certain it's good. I just want to tell you goodbye and thank you for your service to this commission, this county, and I will tell you that it has been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you nothing but the best for all your tomorrows.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been a great pleasure working with each of you.
All right. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks very much, Marty.
And
Thank
yeah.
you.
And with that, my clock shows 5:39 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned. So good night, everyone, and I will see you all next month.
Good night. Welcome to Rose and goodbye to Marty.
Hey,
Yes.
don't miss the moon tonight, 7 o'clock. It's going to be a huge moon coming up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but some kind
Thank
of
you,
crazy.
Jess. Good night, all.
Night all.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.